Well, we've had standard changes, several standard changes here in the state of Florida over the last 20 or 25 years. You know, everything is really aligning. You saw the announcement with the governor a couple days ago about ultimately doing more to prepare our workforce. And so I think one of the things that is the commissioner's responsibility now over the next year is to really identify those standards across a pre-K to 12 curriculum that better align with preparing students for that workforce. So that being said, looking at Common Core in Florida standards, which we didn't necessarily have Common Core, we had the Florida standards that was kind of mirrored some of the Common Core standards across the country. Many of those are standards that would do that. However, I believe it's the governor's intent to become more aligned. So this was the charge he's given the commissioner to really look at these standards, make any recommendations in a year, to be able to come back and then move forward during that next legislative session after that. So there's a lot of work to do. A standard shift is a big shift. That means everything is impacted along the way. So let's think about what those things could be. So standards it definitely has an impact on instruction in our classrooms every day. So our teachers are trained that the resources, the textbooks that our teachers use are all aligned to the standards. So any shift that takes place in the standards, all districts would have to look at how their resources are better aligning to the new standards that are put in place. So that takes a little while to make that adjustment. So it's not a quick pivot. It's kind of a transition time that has to be put in place for that. The next thing that is impacted is the overall assessment that is done to assess whether students are performing well on those standards. So after an implementation of a new set of standards, you would have to look at the assessment program across the state of Florida, make some shifts, because you can't give an assessment that was aligned with a certain set of standards and now give it to a set of new standards. You have to make sure the testing is all aligned. So testing is going to have to be addressed over the course of the next couple of years as they make any shifts in the standards. And then ultimately those assessments feed into the accountability system. And so how the accountability system works across the state of Florida, how schools are graded, and all those things all are connected. And even down to, that being said, down to teacher evaluation and the things that are connected into that. So it's quite extensive. So when you start the process, however, of revising standards, all those other things that I just mentioned will be impacted.